The Fantasy Podcast. News, reviews and interviews from the world of fantasy with your host, Oliver McNeil. Hello, I'm Oliver McNeil and welcome to the very first podcast. The Fantasy Podcast. Yeah. Okay, now, I'm quite excited about this. I hope you are too. There don't seem too many pure fantasy podcasts out there. But yet, so much fantasy in the media. Now, look at the top 10 films of all time. Pretty much all of them are fantasy. Star Wars and Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, and Disney. Good Lord, if they haven't made money from fantasy, I don't know what they have. So I'm going to be taking quite a broad look at fantasy over the years. And hopefully getting quite a few guests on as well. People who starred or worked in movies or write fantasy books or create fantasy things now. I've been very lucky in my work as a prop maker and theatre scenic artist and costume maker and now photographer. I've been a fantasy photographer for the last 10 years. And I'm very, very lucky to be able to work with some fantastic fantasy stars. Only last week, I should do a name drop bong here. I was working with Tom Baker yet again. That sounds terrible. But no, I'm delighted every time I shoot with him. No, Tom, I've been shooting about 5 years. And if you don't know who Tom Baker is, you certainly do if you're in the UK and you're aged between 25 to 50. You would know who Tom Baker is. He played Doctor Who when I was a little boy. And he does it again now, actually. Not for me. He does it on audio. A company called Big Finish, who produced amazing audio dramas. And Tom now revisits his Doctor and does an amazing job of it. But what you might not know, and I've just ordered the DVD, so I'll be reviewing this and hopefully getting Tom to chat about it too. Is the first film that he did where he got noticed for the role of Doctor Who, which was the Golden Voyage of Sinbad, and he played the baddie in that. Oh yes, nasty man he was. Anyway, now I have done fantasy for all my life, pretty much. As far back as I can remember, I was fascinated by it, going from the Choose Your Own Adventure fighting fantasy books written by Ian Livingstone and Steve Jackson, which celebrated its 30th anniversary last year. Wow. Okay, and I was privileged to do a portrait of them too. I don't know if you're an American listener, you may know them as Choose Your Own Game books. That was a different branding, but in the UK they were massive. If you were in any playground in the early 80s and you didn't see someone with a fighting fantasy, a Death Trap Dungeon, City of Thieves, Forest of Doom, great titles, Citadel of Chaos. They were just gory little books that that left very huge, lasting impressions on many a young man. Most of who are now writing and creating probably your favourite sci-fi and fantasy shows. There are many fans out there. Now, I used to paint those on my wall, and I eventually got a job working for the Guildhall School of Music as a scenic artist and prop maker after going through 4 years of art design and theatre coursework, and part of that was having very interesting guest lecturers, two of which worked on some of my favourite fantasy films. We had a chap, and I've got to find his name, it was quite a while ago, I'll find it when we do an interview with him, I hope. who worked on Dark Crystal and Labyrinth, the Jim Henson, Brian Froud films. And his job was to destroy all the costumes. He was a distresser, and he would get these beautifully made costumes, that were, I think, designed by Brian Froud, and take them in the car park and burn and pour all kinds of horrible things and drag them through the mud until they were distressed enough to be looking good and gritty on camera. The other chap that I had lecturing me, he just came in for one day, but it left a lasting impression, was a guy who worked on Legend. He also did all the Batman Joker makeup as well for the Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson. I always get the golfer and the actor mixed up. The Jack Nicholson Joker, he did the prosthetics on him, and Aliens as well. But the one that excited me was when he told me about the effects that he did on Tim Curry in Legend to turn him into that incredible darkness creature. I'll tell you about that another day. Now, what we're going to do for this podcast is wrap it up fairly quickly. However, I have created a Twitter account just for this. So if you want to look up The Fantasy Pod on Twitter and come and join me on there, I look forward to some comments, and I would like to hear, firstly, what your favourite fantasy film was, and then we'll go into that and hopefully get some guests on. Yeah, that'd be great. I was looking this morning at a film called Krull, and Krull was I suppose a post-Star Wars attempt to doing fantasy. It was before Willow, and it was a British fantasy film, and it had the likes of Bernard Bresslaw playing a Cyclops and Todd Carty playing. I photograph as well. I'll try and get him on. That would be quite interesting to hear his take on that film, because it bombed at the at the box office. But I've got fond memories of it. Anyway, that's enough on my first broadcast. I'm slowly getting used to talking to no one, so I'm hoping I shall have something to talk to for the next one. So, bye-bye for now.